My name is Josh Jacoboski. I am the Information Systems and Data Analysis Division Director for the DLGF. Thank you very much for hopping on here. Today we're going to be talking about the 2025 sales data submission process, as well as the DLGF compliance review process for the 2025 sales data submissions. We usually get started on that, usually in January and February. Try to get those done as quickly as possible and sent back to you with those results so that you can get everything done and submitted on time for the ratio study process in March. So for those of you who are new to your position, I'm hoping this presentation serves as a good guidance and gives some direction for the process. Those old hands that have been around here for a little while and have gone through this before, I know you folks, local officials, people who work for them, have a lot on their plates. There's a lot to keep track of. Hopefully this serves as a good reminder for this process and what this is going to look like over the next few months. So with that said, I think we'll go ahead and get started. There we go. Okay, so a quick legal disclaimer. This presentation and other Department of Local Government Finance materials are not a substitute for the law. The following is not legal advice. It is just an informative presentation. The Indiana Code always governs. I want to also introduce the rest of the Data Analysis Division team. I already mentioned myself up at the top there, and I've got my email address listed if you ever wanted to email me about anything related to do with Data Division or anything related to DLGF. I'm happy to respond as quickly as I can. But more importantly, I wanted to introduce the two wonderful ladies who work for me, Delbia Jones and Velvet Jones. They're not related in any way. They just have the same last name. But they are probably going to be your main points of contact for this process and a lot of the processes that our Data Analysis Division does over the course of the year. Delbia handles the western counties of the state, and Velvet handles the eastern counties of the state. We try to split the state as best we can vertically, and it's just an easier way for us to divide up some of the responsibilities there. So if you are in Eastern County, you'll probably be talking with Velvet, and she'll be your main point of contact for a lot of this. And if you're in the West, it'll be Delbia. I wanted to also mention the data inbox. So we have a kind of a fourth email for the data team, aside from our personal work emails there. Just simply named data@dlgf.in.gov is really, honestly, it's probably the best way to get a hold of us, especially if you have a data-related question. Delbia and Velvet do a wonderful job of maintaining that email inbox and answering questions, and just are very much on top of it. So encourage you to use that if you have a question, but again, you're welcome to email any one of us individually. There's also sometimes there won't be for the sales submission process, what I'm about to talk about here in this presentation. We don't submit the sales data directly into that inbox, but there are other submissions over the course of the year, and there's a file that we ask for in the sales submission process to be sent into the data inbox. So again, just if you don't have this written down or aren't aware of that inbox, please make a note of that. Data@dlgf.in.gov is a great way to reach the data team and send stuff our way. Okay, so now talking about what we're going to get into here in the next 45 to 50 minutes is my goal. I've divided this presentation up into three sections for the most part. The first section, which we're going to start here in a little bit, is just talking about what items to consider on your end that you can do ahead of time as you complete your review of your county's sales data in preparation for submission via Gateway. We'll talk more about this, but we are asking counties to upload their sales data on a monthly basis into Gateway. So hopefully this is something that you've already started doing, and you're well on your way with at least a good part of your sales data for 2025. But if you haven't yet, we need to make sure that gets into us so that we can do our reviews here at the beginning of the year. So that will be the first part, is kind of talking about things that you can do ahead of that process. And then the middle part of the presentation is going to provide some screenshots of the application itself and walk you through some of the steps to make sure that your data files or your sales data files get uploaded correctly, and that you are not only uploading those files, but we're using the word confirm, or I use the word confirm here in the presentation, but in the application itself, it's affirm. Either way, we need you to essentially kind of check mark off that you've successfully submitted your sales data to us for each month in 2025. So we'll go through that and, like I said, have some visuals to see what it would look like in the application itself. And then finally, towards the end of the presentation, the last third, if you will, we'll talk about what sort of items or checks that we do, the Department of Local Government Finance does, to help make sure that this is data is as clean and clear as possible. What we do as part of our compliance review process, and the feedback that you will get from us that will hopefully help you get your ratio studies prepared as possible for submission in March. So as I mentioned there a little bit in the previous slide, the Indiana Administrative Code, specifically 50 IAC 26-20-4K, requires that sales data be uploaded on a monthly basis to the Gateway Sales application site. What we usually ask for counties to do is to have the data submitted for a month by the midpoint of the following month. So, for example, here in November of 2025, obviously there are still sales happening in November of 2025 until we get to the final day of this calendar month. We want to give you a little bit of leeway to try and get those sales submitted and sent into the DLGF. So we usually ask that those then come in by December 15th. So all of November 2025 sales data should be submitted to the department by December 15th of 2025. Likewise, all of the December 2025 sales data, we ask that we try to submit that by January 15th of 2026. So that following month. However, Indiana code, so law, requires that on or before February 1st, everything is in. County assessors are to submit all sales disclosure records that have a conveyance date during the preceding year. So everything all sales that occurred in 2025 have to be into us no later than February 1st of 2026. Again, this just guarantees or really helps that by getting all of this data in, it gives my team at least a month to review that data. There's a lot of it that we have to go through, all 92 counties for the entire state of Indiana, and get that feedback back to you in a timely manner. In case there's anything that doesn't look right that we need to kind of correct or fix or clean up, we have time to do that. And so getting it in by no later than February 1st helps us do that. Okay, so again, kind of talking about some of the things that you can do on your end first before actually submitting anything to the department. Some helpful hints here: while reviewing sales disclosure records that have been entered in your sales disclosure software system, please ensure that all records have, at a minimum, at least one buyer and one seller listed, valid dates for all of the date fields on the form. That's the sales date, conveyance date, transfer date, form received, all that good stuff. A valid sales price, valid parcel numbers in state assigned taxing districts, valid property class codes. Any missing data in these fields will usually get flagged by us in our compliance reviews. And if we can avoid that, if we can not have or get this corrected at the beginning, it really smooths things out in our process in January and February. If we don't have to, it cuts down on the amount of back and forth that we have to do. So if you can take a look at this before you actually submit things via the application, it always helps in the long run. A couple other pointers: assuming that the sales disclosure form and the SDF is indeed a completed form. What's very important is that question number 11 under the assessors section, is the form complete, is checked yes. We have our software is set up, or our queries are run in such a way that if it's not marked yes, we don't include that as part of our compliance review process. So that's an important piece, something to always check before submitting your data and uploading that to us. That question number 11 under the assessor section of the SDF is checked yes. Another important part, and this will be my 4th year conducting the sales compliance reviews here in January and February. The thing that, if I were to say what counties get caught up on the most, more than anything else, is this step of the process, the state sales disclosure fee revenue reconciliation. This is really a joint process that involves both the county auditor's office as well as the county assessor's office. It is a way for the DLGF to try and look at and make sure and verify that we have all of the data, that all of the data has been submitted. The revenue reconciliation process is the primary way that we're able to do that. So if question number 12 under the assessors section of the SDF, state sales disclosure fee required, is checked, if it's checked yes, then the county's auditor's office will need to verify if the fee has been collected on that particular sales transaction. Again, as much of this as that can be done ahead of time really helps smooth things out. It can change or it can prevent a county from being non-compliant during our sales reviews. And again, there's always, that slows things down. If we have a bunch of non-compliant issues or non-compliant counties, there's a lot of back and forth that needs to occur before we can finally get everything smoothed out. So as much as this can be looked at ahead of time, it really helps smooth out that whole process. So last bullet point here, discrepancies between question number 12 and question number 7 under the auditor's section, is the state sales disclosure fee collected, may potentially result in the county falling outside the tolerance of our revenue compliance check, in which case we would need to go back through, look at the data again, and get a resubmission. And like I said, it adds steps in the process that if we can get this taken care of ahead of time, it all works a lot smoother. Certain sales disclosure transactions are eligible to be assessed, the state sales disclosure fee, half of which is retained by the county, and the other half which is remitted to the state as part of the settlement process. So for the county auditors on the call, one thing that we ask that you're going to do is verify that you have completed the fall 2025 settlement process with the state comptroller's office, and that you've remitted to the state any additional sales disclosure fee revenue collected since the spring 2025 settlement. We look at those numbers, we get a report from the state comptroller's office, and use that to compare with the data files that we see that are uploaded to make sure that we have everything. So if there's discrepancies there, that can result in a non-compliant status being issued to the county. And again, we just have to go back through and kind of figure that out and work through those discrepancies to make sure that we have it all. Another thing that is extremely helpful, that helps the department in our review, and like I said, sometimes cuts down on the number a county being issued a non-compliant status, is for a submission of, we call it the sales disclosure fee fund report, to the department's data inbox. We usually ask for this as early as possible, usually by like January 15th is what's sticking out in my head. I can't remember that exactly, but I know it's sometime in January. We ask for those reports to be submitted. And that is something that provides a clear transaction log of state sales disclosure fees collected during the previous calendar year. If we are looking through the data and it appears in such a way that, based on our review and what we've seen has been collected from the state comptroller's office, and that a county is falling outside of our threshold for compliance, if this fee fund report has already been submitted to us, we can just go directly to that. And sometimes that will help us identify, oh, this is why this discrepancy is showing the way that it is. And we can change a county from a non-compliant status to a compliant status just based off of that fund report that is submitted to us. So if we can get a clear picture of all of the fee revenue that was collected and then what was submitted to the state, that really helps us match things up. And again, it moves the process along a lot quicker. So we also ask that sometimes just because of the timing with some of the collections by the state comptroller's office, that the fee fund report include everything that happened in 2025 for all of the sales disclosure fee revenue that was collected. But also we ask for it to dip back into December of 2024, just because sometimes there's some overlap there. And again, looking at that and seeing that, it can help us identify the discrepancy, why a discrepancy exists in the revenue numbers that we're seeing. So please get this submitted to us sometime in January. It really helps our process out. Okay, once the county assessor's office has completed its review of the sales disclosure records and has completed the reconciliation process of the sales disclosure fee revenue with the county auditor's office, the county assessor's office should be ready to submit its sales data to the state. And again, if we're doing this on a monthly basis, then that should make things a lot easier as we get closer to the end of the calendar year and the beginning of the next calendar year, where DLGF is really going to be looking at a lot of this data. So highly recommend that if you're able to, try to do this on a monthly basis, get this submitted to us. But at the very least, we got to have everything in by February 1st. Lastly, all counties, you're not going to send us your files via the data inbox. I think that used to be a process way back when. We have an online application that we call the Gateway Sales Application site, and that is what it will be utilized to submit your sales data files to the department. When you're submitting those sales data files, please ensure that your sales data includes records for the complete calendar year. Sometimes we have gaps, and we'll be able to see that. Like if we don't have any sales in the month of July, for example, like that's usually an indicator that we didn't get all the data. So make sure that you've got all of it submitted correctly through that DLGF sales application. If you have done the incremental, either again monthly, quarterly, whatever, uploads of your sales data throughout the year, you not necessarily need to do another upload of all of your sales data by February 1st. You don't need to resubmit things that you've already submitted to us over the course of the year. However, you can certainly do so. It's not going to hurt anything if you do that in the event that you need to update information for any sales that have been edited, updated since they were last uploaded. What our application does is it takes the most recent upload and will automatically update based off of that information. Another reason, I should have mentioned this earlier, but just another reason for the incremental uploads and why that's a good thing. We oftentimes, as the data analysis director, I will get requests, public data requests from different entities across the state, and they will request sales data sometimes, and they'll say specifically, okay, Josh, can you send me all of the sales data submissions from January through June of 2025 for these 10 counties? I'll be like, sure, I'll send my analyst in there. We'll grab that data and we'll get that sent over to you as soon as possible. We get that done, and then I hear back from the person requesting the data, the person or entity requesting the data. Hey, why don't we have any sales, or why am I missing sales for April, May, and June for county X, or why does this county not have stuff that data? And I have to tell them, like, that's Other counties have submitted all of their data, and those counties haven't. So it's not a great look for those counties that aren't able to update on a monthly basis. So if you are able to, I highly recommend doing that as much as you can if you're able to on that monthly basis, as per our guidance in 50 IC 26. Okay, climb down off my soapbox there for a minute. Last bullet point. You do not have to, this was again way back in the day, where I think it was part of the process where the sales data files were submitted via email. We used to require folks to also copy on that email the Legislative Services Agency, or LSA. That no longer needs to happen. The data just comes into the DLGF via the application, and then if LSA needs the data, they reach out to us for it. So. Okay, I'm gonna get into the second part. Quick minute though, I'm gonna take a quick drink of water before I get started on this section. So just a minute. Okay, sorry about that. So far this afternoon has been a lot better, but in the morning session, my voice started to give out around this time. So knock on wood, hopefully I'm not jinxing myself. All right. So the Gateway Sales Application site has the same URL that was used previously for the Gateway SDF site. Again, this our Gateway Sales Application was created and I think pushed live in 2021. So previously there was a website that had Gateway SDF data on there. We revamped it in 2021. It uses the same site though, gatewaysdf.ifionline.org. Your credentials for logging into that website is the exact same that you would use to log into Gateway. So you don't need to worry about another username, another password. Whatever you use to log into Gateway should get you into the sales site just fine. Excuse me. If you're having problems though, you need a new account or password reset request, we ask for those to be sent into our help desk, which is at support@dlgf.in.gov. That comes into my IS team, and then we usually will take care of those requests for you. Okay, sorry, I kind of jumped ahead or didn't explain what was coming next, but this is what you should see if you go to that first that website that I mentioned there. So I'm going to slide back to the previous page. That first bullet point, the link there at the end, the gatewaysdf.ifionline.org, will take you to something that looks like this. So you will sign in. Right there, again, username and password is the same as what you would use for Gateway. And then after you've clicked logged in, you will then be given access to the site itself. You'll notice there in the upper right-hand corner, I think I'll mention this at the end of my presentation or towards the end of my presentation, but there is a option for the public to go in and kind of search for individual records or individual pieces of information that have been uploaded into the site. So that is a public feature. You don't need to sign in. You don't need a username and password or whatever. Anyone can go and do that just by in the upper right hand corner there, clicking on that DLGF search site will take you to the tool that is used to help search through the different sales data. Okay, but for you folks where you are trying to upload sales data here into the application, the first thing you want to do is make sure you select the applicable sales year for which you need to upload your data files. And then once you've done so, you'll click on your county name to continue then to the file upload screen. So that's going to show up here on my next slide. So this is what I'm talking about. Sorry, it's a bit of an older screenshot, but the select sales year there, it's got kind of like the bluer box around it. You'll click there. There should be a drop down there for 2025. And then you'll click on your county name underneath there. So like, for instance, the example I have is Adams County. If you clicked on that Adams County, that would then take you into the next page, which would allow you to upload your files. So the file upload page on this sales site will only accept data files that are zipped. So you need a zipped folder that has all 5 sales disclosure files in them. Even if there's not any 2 records on those 2 like kind of addendum files there at the end, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, but those last 2, if there's nothing in them, that's fine. But the files themselves still need to be a part of the zip file that is being uploaded. So you need all 5 in there. Otherwise, the upload won't work. So again, going to my previous screenshot that I had, when you click on, after you've signed in correctly and you've clicked on your county, you will be taken to this page. There's 2 buttons kind of up at the top there. There's an upload and affirmation. I'll be talking about the affirmation here in a little bit. Right now, we're going to focus on the upload part of this. So if you clicked on the choose file, you could go onto your computer, hopefully find the zip file that you've prepared that has the 5 data files that are needed for the upload itself. And then once you've selected that file, you'll hit upload, and hopefully it goes through correctly, and you'll get the symbols that or the feedback that I'm about to show here on another slide or another screenshot, showing you that the update or the upload was successful. So if it was successful, this is what we should see. To determine if your file upload processed successfully, look for a green valid status under the upload status column. Additionally, if you were successful in uploading it, you should be able then to turn around and download it from that download column. So if it's available and there to be downloaded, that is sort of a confirmation that yes, it has been uploaded correctly, it's in the system, you're good to go. Again, this is what it looks like. So if you've successfully uploaded a set of sales files, you should see a green valid under that 3rd column there, that upload status. And if you go over another 3 columns over to that download column, the second to last one there, that link would provide you with a download of the files that you just uploaded. So again, those are the 2 key indicators that something went through correctly, and you're good to go with your file upload for sales. If for some reason it was unsuccessful, the application will tell you that. If your file did not upload successfully, you'll notice a red invalid status under that same column, the upload status column. Additionally, you will not be able to export the dataset. You'll not be able to download it because there's going to be an NA listed under there, and it will not download. And again, it didn't upload, so you can't really download it. So it just didn't work. But we do try to provide some additional feedback as to why something didn't work. If you were if we were uploading your file and you get this result, that final column, the details link under the action column, will be useful in helping you see why something didn't upload correctly. So we'll get to that here in a minute. But again, this is a screenshot or an example of an unsuccessful attempt at uploading files. We see that red box with an invalid. And again, under that download section, that second to last column, it's NA because there was nothing that was uploaded, so you can't download it. Again, and then again, that last column, that details under the action column, is where I would recommend going next after an unsuccessful upload to help you identify, hey, this is what needs to be corrected for me to get this uploaded correctly. So each file, so once you click on that details, this is what we're going to go into next. We've clicked on the details link there. Each file that generated errors upon processing will be listed with a red failed status under the status column. So you should have, again, there should be 5 files that were part of the zipped folder that was uploaded. You should see feedback for each of those 5 files. Please note that in order for the entire data set to process successfully, all 5 files must have a green valid status. It's an all or nothing process. Like, we won't have one of the files upload and 4 of them not. It will always be all or nothing. So even if only one of the 5 files contain errors, that one file will prevent the entire data set from being processed. There's another link that you'll be able to click on, the view error link, that will provide additional details for like why something isn't uploading. But again, if you clicked on the detail part in the previous screenshot that I showed, this is one that we kind of overkilled it. Like all 5 of them are not working. There was an error with all 5 of the text files that we tried to upload here. Hopefully you wouldn't see this. Hopefully you'd only have see that red failed under the status box for one of the files. But you know, it might happen where you have something wrong with every single file type, like in this example here. But if you were to click under that last column, that view error, it will take you to a new page that should give you some good feedback on, hey, this is what's wrong with the data file, why it's not uploading correctly. This is what you need to correct to get it to upload. So each SDF record that generated an error will be listed on the view error screen, along with the description of the error. It's possible on this next screen here, and this is what we're talking about, when you clicked on that view errors link, it's possible that certain SDF IDs may be listed more than once, especially if those records contained multiple errors. If there's multiple errors in one record, it should list out those multiple errors there. Please note that you may need to click on the next button at the bottom of the right-hand corner to see the complete list. Okay, sometimes it's, hopefully it's only 1 or 2 errors on there, and you can get that corrected quickly. Sometimes there's more, and so just be aware of that. There is a next button to kind of cycle through the different pages if there are indeed pages of errors here. And then what I would highly recommend doing is use your screenshot utility on your computer to take a screenshot of the errors that we're showing here and share that with your sales disclosure software vendor. You working with them, you should be able to get to the bottom of why something is not uploading correctly. That screenshot should prove vital in helping your software vendor identify or zero in on where the error is occurring and how we can correct that. So again, this is kind of that final page of what you would see if you clicked all the way over to that error link. Here's the error description of each one on there. And again, I know that that's not exactly going to spell it out for you. It's not going to like tell exactly where it is at, but we can then, your software vendor should be able to take this information and look at your file and get things corrected quickly for you. And if it's something that you've shared it with your software vendor, they're unable to figure it out for you, or you're not able to get it uploaded correctly, you can always reach out to us for help, either at the data inbox or more likely it would be better to send in a ticket through the support desk. So support@dlgf.in.gov. Okay, I mentioned that there's the obviously uploading the files is extremely important. We got to have that data in there for this to count at all, but we also need for each of the counties to also affirm that they have successfully completed or successfully submitted their sales data, especially for a particular month. So upon completion of your review and validation process and successful upload of all sales data for a particular month, you will affirm that you have uploaded the complete reviewed validated data set for that month. It's really quick. It's quick, simple 3-step process. Honestly, I think it's like 3 clicks of the mouse. But we can't get started. The data analysis division cannot start our review process until we have confirmation or affirmation rather from the county that the sales that it has been submitted, like that you have submitted your sales data to us. So we need that check marked off for each month for a particular conveyance date range. For our date range that we're looking at, it's all of 2025. Okay, this is what it'll look like. So again, sorry about I should have included another screenshot here, but if you go all the way back to like my first screenshot, I mentioned to you that we've got like an upload button and then an affirmation button. If you were to click on the affirmation button, this is what you would see. It's a list of basically all of the months here in 2025 for uploading your different sales data. It's a real easy process, like I mentioned, for if you're wanting to affirm that you have correctly, or you have uploaded all of your sales data for a particular month. We're going to look at January here in particular. You click on that edit button under the action column. Once you've clicked on that edit button, a box will pop up in that affirmation column. You'll simply just check on that or click on that box to check it off with like a check mark. And then once you've done that, you hit the save button. Once all of that's been completed, you've clicked those 3 times, you should see a date and timestamp appear for that row for that particular month that you just affirmed. It will have your login identification there as well as the timestamp for when that was completed. So again, super important to make sure that these are all affirmed. Again, our data team cannot do anything until these have all been affirmed in Gateway via the application itself. So please make sure you do that. Again, not only the data files need to be uploaded by February 1st of 2026, we also need all affirmations completed. So all 12 months worth of affirmations done by February 1st so we can get started as soon as possible on there. Okay, drink time. Sorry, pause for a second. Okay, so we're in the home stretch here, talking about the sales data compliance review process that the DLGF does. There are 2 main things that we're trying to do here. Well, obviously, we're wanting to try and make sure that the sales data is correct and as clean as possible in order to get that. It's the prepper for the ratio studies, right? So we're wanting to make sure it's as we've got everything. So that first bullet point there, or have all the sales data for the specified conveyance period 2025 been submitted. That's something that we're going to look at. Also, does the SDF data, the actual data that has come in, appear to be complete and accurate? So we have a number of checks that we do, a number of things that we go through during this process. But those are the 2 key things that we're looking for that we want to make sure of when we mark a county as compliant. So I've talked about this a little bit earlier, but to address have all the sales for the specified conveyance period been submitted, have all 2025 sales been submitted, what we have to rely on is primarily that revenue check. So this is where it's important to make sure that revenue's been tracked correctly, that there's good communication between the county assessor and county auditor's office, and that it matches as closely as possible what is then actually submitted to the state via the comptroller's office. We do offer an acceptable error threshold there, where we compare the number that was collected by the state comptroller's office versus the numbers that we are seeing in the sales data file submissions, the actual data files that come into us. We compare those 2 amounts, and we realize, it's we're not always going to get it perfect where it's going to be an exact match at 100%, but we do have a threshold that we have to maintain, and that needs to be that comparison between those 2 numbers needs to have a 90% to 105% error threshold within those 2. Otherwise, it's a strong possibility that the DLGF has not received all of the data files for a given year. And so if it's outside of that threshold, we usually have to reach back out to the county and figure something out. Or again, the fee fund report that hopefully the county auditor submitted to us in January, we're able to refer back to that, and that can then maybe boost something up to get it in to where it's in that threshold. But it's a process that we have to go through to make sure that we have all the data, that it's all been submitted correctly to us. And then the other part of it, does the data that we get actually appear to be complete and accurate? We have a bunch of checks that we do that go through all the different sales data files that we get. So one of the things that we're looking for are buyers and sellers listed, is the sales price listed, are the taxing district and parcel number included. Anytime we're missing what we call critical information there, or missing critical data, within these files, we sort of flag that, and the number of records, if we have that are missing critical data, if that exceeds a 2% threshold, then the whole county is considered non-compliant, and we need to get a resubmission of data files. So obviously that's something you're wanting to be checking over before you submit that to us. If we find out that the missing critical data is over 2%, that's something that we would need to work on to get corrected and get that under 2% before we can move forward with a ratio study. Okay, I think I mentioned this, but it's helpful to consider the data analysis of divisions review of the sale data as the primer in the ratio study process. It's the first link in our chain for next year. That ratio study obviously is a very important link in the chain. Our review of the sales data helps make sure that things go more smoothly for that ratio study. So the data analysis division's review helps to ensure the underlying foundation of the sales data that is used in the ratio study. However, there's like two things that I think we've gotten questions on in the past that should be asked more of the assessment division. Our analysis cannot necessarily say for sure whether a certain sale should be marked valid for trending. Okay, that's not our area. That's not something we can give a whole lot of feedback on. Same thing with should a certain sale be included in a ratio study. That is more of a question for the assessment division. If you ask that of us, that's fine, but we'll probably refer you over to the assessment division to get an answer on those types of questions. Okay, when we're done, when we've completed our review, we will email the county 2 documents with our findings. So the first document will be in the form of an Excel workbook. We call that the sales issues workbook. And that is the more kind of granular level detail, or in the weeds, if you will, that provides an itemized breakdown of everything that we found, of the records that contained probable or possible errors based on our compliance checks. The thing that most of you are probably going to take your first look at when you get this feedback is the PDF, which is the Sales Disclosure Compliance Report. This provides a summary analysis, so more of kind of like an executive summary level of the various checks that we performed on the data that was submitted, along with your official compliance status, right? Like that's the thing that we're trying to get at the end, is everybody to be compliant. If you're get that green compliant sign on your compliance report, you're good to go. If it's red non-compliant, then there's still work that we need to do to get you ready for ratio studies. So a deeper dive here, or a closer look at the sales issue workbook, that Excel workbook that will contain the, excuse me, the itemized list of errors that we found. It can have up to 6 tabs on it for any data that we found that was considered missing critical data. We'll put that in that spring or the sales issues workbook. Any duplicates that we find, and again, we separate that out across 2 different tabs: the single parcel sales and the multi-parcel sales. Errors that we found due to valuable consideration. Errors that we found in the Part 2 County Assessor Checks section, and then finally the last tab could contain County Auditor Checks, or errors that we found there in Part 3, the County Auditor Checks. Real quick, the missing critical data tab contains data that may be missing or mismatched between the sales file and the parcel file. Checks are performed on both single and multi-parcel sales, but are separated out on the spreadsheet. And again, we also look for duplicates, possible duplicates there. So under the single parcel sale duplicates tab, you'll see instances where it's possible that we're seeing a duplicate. So we wanted to bring that to your attention. The multi-parcel sales duplicate tab is going to be the same thing, just for multi-parcel sales. The valuable consideration tab takes a look at those instances where a parcel, a list of parcels or sales that have a sales price greater than 0, but are marked as no for valuable consideration. Obviously, that's kind of a flag in our system. Part 2, County Assessor Checks tab will contain records where there are possible discrepancies between items in Part 1 of the SDF compared to the information listed in Part 2 of the SDF, like an individual SDF that contains multiple parcels located in different taxing districts. The Part 3 County Auditor Checks tab contains records where there are possible discrepancies between those records marked as requiring state sales disclosure fee and the amount of fee collected. Okay, so some feedback that we're trying to give to you with our reviews that we do. All right, here's a zoomed out version of what you will see on your PDF that you get back from us. We'll go through each of the sections individually here. So up at the top, this is just a sample county. Obviously, we kind of made this up, but you'll get the county name and number, the date of the report, when we received the sales data. Box 3, I think, is going to be the one that most of you will pay attention to right away. Gives you your status if you're compliant or if you are non-compliant, as well as some additional suggestions and comments. Excuse me, I'm going to take another drink real fast. Voice starts to run out at the end of these. Okay. And then the next sections, so boxes 6 through 11 there focus on the revenue check portion. Again, what we're trying to get there is the making sure that we have all of the data files that have been collected over the course of the year, that has been submitted correctly to the department. So our revenue check helps us with that comparison. The biggest thing there is that box number 11, which I've got highlighted in green. That is the big one. As I mentioned, we look as long as you are within that threshold of between 90 and 105%, we consider that compliant for that particular check. Anything outside that threshold is something that we need to take another look at. Again, it's helpful if we have that fee fund report, then we don't have to involve you. We can just look at that report, and if it's clear enough and gives us a good understanding of why the discrepancy exists, we can move forward and make those corrections ourselves. If there's still issues there, excuse me, then we need to have to go back to the county and investigate further as to why there's this discrepancy. And then some additional information there about the number of sales disclosures reported, what that looked like in previous years, and so on and so forth. Again, the next piece of it is making sure that we've got correct and complete data, that has been, that we're getting the full scope of everything that happened there. So in box 21, that's that other like pass-fail thing, if you will. That percentage needs to be under 2% if we're going to reach a compliant status. We need the total number of records that have missing critical data to be under 2% in order for your county to be deemed compliant. So we have additional information there on other sections that can pop up, or other sections that will be included in the issues workbook. So the Excel file that gives more detail. Additional information regarding the valuable consideration tab that would be in the issues workbook. That bottom section is the part 2, the assessor checks. And then finally, the part 3 county auditor section, making sure that again, giving kind of a high level overview of any errors we found there. A comparison back to the parcel files that was submitted to us back in the fall. We take some of the sales data and compare with the parcel data. So making sure that those match correctly and giving you the feedback there that we are seeing based on the data that was submitted to us. And then again, this is just, again, feedback that we're trying to give you to help with the ratio study process. So hopefully this kind of last section here will give you that additional feedback, but this doesn't have anything to do necessarily with your sales data compliance, but it does give you a preview of hopefully for what things will look like for that ratio study. Okay, if the county sales data is deemed non-compliant, if we reach that unfortunate state where we've got something that's not looking right, we need to we're going to reach back out to you. The county is going to need to review those errors or possible errors, make those corrections, and then resubmit the sales data for another round of reviews. It's a time-consuming process, right? That back and forth, everything that needs to happen there, and we've got a tight deadline of making sure the sales data is good to go before the ratio studies get submitted in March. So we want to try and avoid as many of those non-compliant status as possible. It happens, you know, if that does happen, it's not a huge deal. We can work through that, but again, the more work that you can do or the counties can do before submitting data to us usually helps reduce the number of non-compliant counties that we have at the start of the process. When you get that compliant status, you are good to go. This essentially signals the go-ahead for the assessment division to proceed with its review and ultimate approval of the county submitted ratio study. So once you've got a compliant status from us, that's when you can get things submitted to the assessment division for their part of the work that they're going to do with the ratio study. But it's highly recommended that you wait there until the sales data has been reviewed and you've gotten a compliant status. All right, this is my final slide before I stop with or answer questions if anyone has any questions, but just real quick, the SDF online search database, I mentioned that link there at the beginning. It's in the upper right corner of that home page, is available to the general public. So once you post sales into the site, anyone can kind of go online and see those sales records that are on there. We do have a way for you to access and for the public to access records from the 2008 to 2020 timeframe from before we put the new application in place in 2021. So that link is available as well, both via this presentation and on the actual site itself. So any sales records that happen prior to 2008, however, we don't have that data. I don't believe we've got it available, at least online. So individuals seeking that historical data that ask us, we tell them to follow up with the applicable county to inquire if they still have access to that information. All right, I think I made it in under an hour, hopefully. Happy to take any questions if anything popped up over the course of the presentation. But I think that's it for me.
Okay, Josh, we don't have any questions right now, but
Okay.
we did have a question that I know that I get when we send out the reminders for the, to add in the sales disclosure data each month.
Yes.
The question this morning was about the date of the 15th. Can you just refresh everybody on that particular area and submitting it by the 15th?
Absolutely. So we ask all counties to try and submit their sales data to us on a monthly basis. And we want to give a little leeway there. So we're not necessarily expecting, you know, the data submitted to us on the day that you get it or anything like that. So what our requirements are, what we ask is that the month's worth of data files. So let's, again, using this example of November, for November of 2025, those data files, we ask that those get to us by the midpoint of the following month. Essentially, I think that what we outlined in the administrative code was just the 15th of the following month. So for all November 2025 data files, we ask that those get submitted via the website by December 15th of 2025. We want to give you a little bit of time there to get all that organized, review it as needed, and then get that submitted. But that would be our strong preference there and what we have outlined there in the administrative code about the submission process.
Great, thank you, Josh. We'll keep the chat open for a few more minutes while we do a couple quick housekeeping items. As I reminded or mentioned earlier in the webinar, we will be planning for the 2026 webinar schedule here in the next week. So if you have any feedback that you would like us to consider for potential topics for 2026, please take a moment to complete the survey and enter in the topics that you would like to see us cover, or you can send me an email if there's any particular topics that would be helpful for you for us to feature in 2026. We do have one more remaining in December. So if you haven't already registered for that, Barry Wood is going to be our presenter for that webinar in December. So please register for that if you have not already done so. Later this week, you'll get an email with the PowerPoint, the video, the survey, the CE form, and it will also be on the DLGF webinars webpage, all of those documents. So you can access those. The video will also be on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you would like to get notified as to when that becomes available. Again, if you would like CE credit for this webinar, it is valid for 1 hour, and you will need to self-report that by filling out the CE form and submitting that to our education email address, which is education@dlgf.in.gov, and we can get that recorded for you. If you have any questions about your CE cycle, for level 1, 2, or 3, and how many hours you have, then you can please reach out to our education email address and we'll get those questions answered for you. I want to thank Josh for giving us our presentation today. We do this annually, typically in this time frame, so that everybody's prepared for going into the first of the year with this data being due. So please reach out to, if you have any questions, to Josh, Velva, or Delbia, and they will be able to assist you with any of those questions. We do appreciate everybody submitting those the sales information throughout the year. It is helpful for not only us, but for the individuals who seek to obtain that information year round. So, and for the data requests so that we can provide that information to you. So I do want to thank you all for joining us today. And we hopefully will see you at the December webinar with Barry Wood. Thank you all and have a great afternoon.